primary ignition.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to BCN Transmissions. My name is Colin, and we have a special guest today. I don't know if he believes if Max Rebo has 4 limbs or 2 limbs, but we'll find out. Spencer, how are you?
I'm doing great, Colin. Thank you so much for having me on the show tonight. It was quite an honor for you to ask me to be part of this.
Yeah, and absolutely. You know, I'm beyond excited to, talk about all the news that has been happening with Maul Shadow Lord. We also got the official runtime for the Mandalorian and Grogu. We also got a surprise announcement like an hour ago from True Moo, and and then also I wanted to dive in deep because into Star Wars Celebration going into next year, and maybe we can talk about what's the best way to prepare and just the different things happening there. But
sure.
Before we get started, is there any upcoming events for VCN that we wanted to broadcast super quick?
Yes, sure. So first and foremost, next Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern is the Boonta Eve Texas 2 News Desk, which MVO, myself, with Kentucky and Bobby will be, announcing our full entire lineup for Boonta Eve Texas 2, and during the broadcast, tickets will go on sale for the event. Now, Colin, you were there as not part of the VCN that last time.
Yep.
This time you're coming in there. Why should people want to be at Boonta?
Because it is such an immersive experience. At the time I heard like of what these events were like, but hearing one thing and experiencing another is like a totally different experience. So it was so much fun. You had some celebrity surprises and it was so cool to see a bunch of my friends and make new friends there, and specifically in this environment too. And at one point, David W. Collins and Matthew Wood ended up going on stage and they sung the trailer song from Skeleton Crew, which was not on my bucket list for last year. So that was super cool to experience that and see it in person. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was really cool. And there's no other fan experience like it. You really can't compare it to anything else. And if you love Star Wars and you just love having a good time, you should definitely go to Boonta Eve. It's fantastic.
We appreciate that. Yeah, we're very excited about this one. Personally, I always think that the next event is always my favorite. So if someone said to me, "Oh, what do you think about this event?" I'm like, "This event's good, but wait till the next one." So I'm always trying to up what we do for VCN and what we do for the fandom, because honestly, the fandom deserves it. If a con or something out there is going out there and saying, "But wait, there's more," we're that. But wait, there's more. We're there to help enhance the community and the show, whether it be Rebel Scum Con or even Star Wars Celebration. We're there to help.
Yeah. And again, there is no other experience like it. It's to me, there's like a decent amount of different Star Wars events that are immersive, and this is on that list. So if you have the chance, please go.
Absolutely. And they're all great, and we're all friends too, that we all do the event. So we all look out for each other when we know that we're all running in a week so that we can attend each other's events.
Absolutely. So yeah. And that's happening the same weekend as Rebel Scum Con, and they haven't even announced all of their guests yet. I think they still have a couple of people to announce.
Yeah, they have about a handful or so,
Yeah.
but it's a stacked lineup. I mean, the
Yeah.
fact that they got John Boyega, I mean, that was a huge win for the
Mm,
guys. I mean, I'm very, very happy for them. Um, but they knocked it out of the park with Kyle and Denise right off the bat.
yeah.
And then obviously, Paul Lee, Carson Tiva is a great, great get. So it's last year was amazing. Last year, honestly, I said it's probably not only the best show I've ever been to outside of a celebration, but I honestly think it's outside of celebration, it's the best pure Star Wars show out there.
Yes. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. And I met so many incredible people last year. And I think that was the first time you and I actually met last year too.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. So yeah, it's so much fun. If you want that incredible experience as well, go to Rebel Scum Con. You will not regret it. They have a big lineup. They have I think there's a decent amount of more, people going this year than last year from what it sounds like. So
Well, the
uh
hype is real. I mean,
yeah.
they tripled their attendance in 1 year.
Hmm.
Imagine what this year is going to do, and it's all because of word of mouth,
Yep. Yeah.
which
I
is the best form of marketing out there. Honestly, it
Yes.
really is. Still
Yeah.
is. Grassroots.
Um I am going to be driving across the country for it this time because my friend Hunter and I will be driving our droids down. So we'll be doing a road trip, and then our other friends will be flying down, including my wife and my son, because my son will be coming to this one. So
Hell's yeah. No, it's awesome. I'm so excited for this. We've been planning this since the days after the last one.
yeah.
Literally, like we had our lineup, I want to say 97% booked before January 1.
Okay.
So let's put it this way. We're already thinking 27 for uh Boone to Texas already. Like we're already thinking about next year. And we have at least one more in between, if not another one coming up. So
Yeah, I mean, and not only, yeah, I mean, because you've got next year, which celebrates 50 years of Star Wars. So just think how crazy next year is also going to be as well. It's just going to be absolutely insane.
I'm just so excited, and I'm honestly I can't. Holding my tongue is not an easy thing for me, and some people have been able to get stuff out of me that I really should never have said in the first place. But just wait until November 26th when we make the announcement of where Boonta Eve 5 will be as part of celebration. That alone is going to drive people to the event, not the
100%.
event itself. And I'm imploring anybody who is thinking about going, buy your tickets as soon as they go on sale.
Hmm.
Japan, we sold out in 4 minutes. I had no time to do like 25%, 50%, 75% tickets sold out. Like I was like, all right, sold out, it's up. Like, do I think it's gonna happen this time? I'm saying a day, just me. That's me personally.
Yeah.
But I'm also a realist. So when tickets go on sale and we announce tickets, you're going to be a part of this because I'm going to tell you right now, we will sell out before we announce one name that's going to be signing at our event. It's
This is the
the
one for
event to
next
go
year.
to.
Yeah.
Yes, for LA. LA
Yeah.
is going to be huge.
Hmm.
And I'm talking about that already. But people are going to be in town for celebration and they want to do something the night before. And the VCN is the event to go to.
Yeah. You guys are in for a special treat. It is going to be amazing. And you know, one other great thing about these events is hanging out with people and friends and making friends and stuff like that. So, that's just the cherry on top of what these events are. So it's going to be a lot of fun. If you've never gone, go, but don't sleep on it because Spencer is right. Those tickets will sell out quick. But yeah.
Yep. But
Um,
get ready, guys. It's going to be a great year.
So with that being said, let's dive into the Star Wars news. We got the official runtime for The Mandalorian and Grogu. Um, it is 2 hours and 12 minutes. This is sitting on rank number 6 out of all the Star Wars films that have come out for the length time. The Last Jedi sits at number 1. How do you feel about the length of the film?
Uh, I saw a great comment online, and let me put it this way: the fans are hilarious. Um, Someone actually said, "Wow, that's longer than season 2," and I was like, "That's actually funny. Like that was a good one." Um, Honestly, I don't care. Honestly,
Okay.
but seriously, like Jeff just put in the comments, it's the same runtime as Rogue One,
Yeah.
and that's arguably the best Disney era movie. And some people even say that's the best Star Wars movie all the way around. But honestly, nothing compares to Star Wars in the theater at all.
Yeah,
Period.
I
End of
agree with
story.
that.
So I don't care if it's an hour and a half, 2 hours, or we're talking Lord of the Rings times here.
Mhm.
We're going back to the theaters to watch a brand new Star Wars movie.
We
I
haven't had
mean,
that for about 6 years now. It's been 6 years since Rise of Skywalker.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we had the dark times back in the 90s to the 2000s. People forget us OT people have been were choppy at the bit when the prequels came out and the
Mhm.
special editions. So Star Wars is back in the theaters, and we're gonna have Star Wars in the theaters in 27 twice. So honestly, just give me Star Wars, and I'm gonna be happy. I'm just happy that we're gonna be going back to the theaters with our friends to add new memories to our already like cavalcade of love for this fandom.
Yeah. Um, and something as well about experiencing just Star Wars in the theater. I remember, um, Revenge of the Sith because it came out on my birthday, and I remember going with my dad and my older brother, and just the reactions in the theater was absolutely incredible. And then I had the opportunity to go see Force Awakens a couple of days early, and I remember um, going in to see it, and even with our small group of just having those reactions with like of that close group of people was super cool. And I think to me going, I feel like every fan has like a different um perspective and a way to watch these movies. For me, I love seeing it with people because that just helps with the memories of looking back and be like that was fun. I love doing that. And with the Mandalorian Grogu coming back to theaters, it's going to be awesome because every single film that comes out is kind of branching to a new um I'm trying to think of the word of the word. It's branching out to a new age for kids going into watching Star Wars because this movie may be their first Star Wars movie that they ever see, and that's really cool to think about.
Absolutely. It's very funny you should say that because obviously people are very nostalgic right now about, there's pictures online about Celebration, Japan, people flying over a year ago now, or London, or, in Chicago. And looking at Chicago, which to me was my favorite celebration that I've been to personally.
I love that.
I love that show, and I'm not just shilling because of Mark Von Owen running the autograph hall for that. I'm the cheap plug. I thought that show was stellar, top to bottom. My favorite bash, my favorite celebration, my favorite autograph hall, like all the way around. The love
So
that
yeah.
Ahmed Best got for coming back
Mhm.
made me actually think in my mind, it's not my Star Wars anymore. Right now, in 2019, it's the parents of 2019 were the kids of the prequel generation. And they're bringing their kids into Star Wars now. So their entry point might have been Rebels or Clone Wars or even the sequel era.
Yeah.
So there's a generation jump for every single on point in Star Wars. And now it's great. You don't have to like it all, but that one piece is somebody's entry point to Star Wars, and that's what's great about Star Wars.
I could not agree more. Specifically for that 2019 celebration, that was one of my favorites too. Not just because it was only 2 hours away from me. That was really nice. But um, because of the experiences that I had with the people, and I'm with you about Ahmed. That was super cool. That was also, them actually having the first panel and showing the first footage of the Mandalorian. That was amazing because no one really knew what to expect. And I remember they showed us the footage, and I was like, this is different. This is new. This is really interesting. And I still got my poster that we got. If you went to the panel, I will say
Yep.
the only thing I didn't like about that show was the lottery system, and we can talk about that when we actually get to prepping for Star Wars Celebration. But
We were talking actually last night on the watch along when we had Brenda and Wayne on the show.
yeah,
We were talking about that big ass poster with him in the doorway. I'm like,
yeah,
that was the first image that we saw was you.
hmm
I mean,
that's so cool.
just to think right now is that kicked off the Disney Plus era.
Yeah,
And right now they're branching that back into the movie era right now and doing the meld, which lack of a better word, I'm sorry to use this analogy, is like the Star Trek method. Is that
okay,
they had a whole bunch of TV shows and then they went to the movies, and then they
hmm
have a new set of TV shows and then do movies for them. It's
right,
circular. It's obviously it's economics. I completely get that. But like you said, this is probably going to be somebody's entry point into this. But also remember, season 3 ended with a bow on it. It could have ended completely 100% and we never had another Mandalorian and everything. But we're getting more stories after it cleaned up pretty. So why are we going to complain? I know people are going to complain because I can't stop people from complaining. But at the same time, we got Star Wars back in the theater. Like,
yeah,
well, why should we complain about that?
yeah. I mean, it's not every Star Wars project that comes out is going to be, pointed specifically towards one person. And actually, it could be, and that's 100% fine. I love all. I love all Star Wars. I even like Jedi Adventures because of me watching that. I was gearing up to be like, okay, I can't wait to show this to Hayden when he starts to, you
Sure.
know, fully understand that. But something I did want to ask you, with a movie like this that is specifically where you have to know the TV shows, do you think that's going to be something for the audience that might make them, question certain things during the movie? For example, there is a bounty hunter that shows up in the trailer. His name's Embo. You wouldn't know who that is unless you watch the Clone Wars. But I think there's certain people that just dive straight into films like this that don't have any knowledge, and that's okay. But then there's other people that are just like, it seems like there's a bunch of stuff I'm missing. Like, how do you think the overall audience will receive this film, not going in watching The Mandalorian, Ahsoka, Book of Boba Fett, and Skeleton Crew?
So Brendan actually talked about that last night. And he said that they built it that if you did not see the show, it's okay. If you've not seen Clone Wars, it's okay. But the fact of the matter is that let's just say that you dived into the Mandalorian and all of a sudden you come across chapter 13, the Jedi, and you see Ahsoka Tano for the first time. You're like, wait a minute, the Padawan of no, Anakin didn't have a Padawan.
Yeah.
Well, now you got to go do your research.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an entry point for people to learn more about everything. And that's also very exciting for me as well as a fan because I like long form storytelling. So having somebody like Dave now at the helm, he's going to make sure that everything is cohesive
Yeah.
and make sure the story. So I think they'll be fine. I honestly think that the people that are going to be going to experience this for the first time are people who maybe know Grogu from Galaxy's Edge or from that. Because if you don't know Grogu from The Mandalorian, you know him from merchandising. I
Yeah.
mean, they talk about it in Spaceballs. It's a joke, but it's true. So Grogu is an entry point. And if kids can go see that in theaters, see Grogu in the theaters, they're going to go. Parents are going to take them.
Yeah. I I love the age that my son is at, but also I can't wait until he gets a tiny bit older so then I can actually take him to the theater and have them experience. Like even taking him to Galaxy's Edge for the first time was so cool. Of him being in that environment, seeing those characters. We I remember we were at Oga's and there were a couple of stormtroopers that actually walked into Oga's and they like started to interrogate him and I just saw like the kind of look of like what's going on and he also like got super excited and stuff like that. So I can't wait for I can't wait to have those experiences um with my son. Um and even building my droid too, like that was such a cool experience to see him interact with that. And I really think, it doesn't matter what point of Star Wars happens, like in these movies where, if it ends up being pointed directly towards the fans of the Mandalorian or the Clone Wars or something like that. Star Wars is for everyone. And I think going into this movie from the trailers and everything, I think you will have that feeling of this this reminds me of Andor, this reminds me of the Clone Wars, this reminds me of A New Hope and the sequels and Force Awakens, and that's the beauty about the Mandalorian is that it really bridges between the prequels, the original trilogy, and it's leading into the sequels. And I think that what we saw from the trailer so far, it branches everything. It really does branch everything, and it makes me super super excited for what's going to go on in the movie. Yeah,
It's going to be fun. It's going to be great. It's going to be a great ride. I'm excited.
yeah. Uh, Speaking of the Clone Wars, fan favorite character from the prequels and the Clone Wars, Maul Shadow Lord came out on Monday. I woke up at 3 a. Well, actually, I woke up like at 2 a.m. and then I got in everything prepped, and then I watched it as it dropped, and absolutely incredible. Maul Shadow Lord is fantastic. It's the highest ranking out of all the Star Wars projects. How do you
I
feel
mean,
about that?
it is for a reason. I
Yeah,
mean, it's landing for the adults because, quite honestly, we we're used to the kiddie. I don't want to say kiddie, but the kiddie esque Star Wars, which we love. But we're also hungry for some grit. Like
mhm.
we're at the age of like we want some meat in it. We want to see. We actually want to see someone going ham with a lightsaber. We love that. And it's Maul, who for years we're saying, wow, coolest looking villain of all time, shortest amount of screen time altogether. And then you have this show, and this his arc is just so amazing that now we kind of get to go into the deep belly of the underworld and see, what actually happened, with Maul in that time after the Clone Wars. Also, I mean, I've been asking after Solo, where's Kira? Me personally.
Yeah,
So I want more Crimson Dawn. I read the Crimson Reign comic book. That was phenomenal. So I'm very excited to see this. The grit is amazing. The Easter eggs from Fallen Order are incredible. And just the fact that, so many, you know, luminaries from the Star Wars realm. When you
yeah.
got Sam, you got David W. Collins, who we got to meet last year. When you got Vanessa Marshall, you got names of people that we recognize as voices of Star Wars and the voices of some generations.
You also
It's
have
just
Steve Bloom as well because he plays one of the Dathomir brothers and he played Zeb in Rebels. So yeah,
there you go, and the voice
yeah.
of Zeb in Mandalorian Grogu.
Hmm.
So honestly, it's nice to have something more to watch, and I'm excited to see where it's going. I'm really liking it. It was funny. The opening of the first episode, it reminded me very much of like a Danny Elfman esque Batman type of sound.
Yeah, yeah. There were a lot of Batman references. I mean, specifically the opening and then the second episode was very reminiscent of the Dark Knight trilogy.
Right.
And I loved that they, pulled inspiration from that, from Blade Runner. And Sam Witwer and the team over there, of the Kiners that were doing the music. You had the sound department over at Skywalker Sound. Like they absolutely crushed everything in the show. For the storytelling specifically, Sam Witwer went the extra mile in the show because they just dropped some behind the scenes stuff. For example, right before before we started airing this episode, Spencer and I were talking about how the lightsaber sounds for Maul's saber that we've seen so far, that's Sam Witwer doing screams, and then they did a sound edit on it. And then there's also at points when they were doing the recording that Sam Witwer actually put on the where he put on like kind of Maul's markings on his face, and he wore Sith eye contacts, like just to help get in character. So you know that they were putting their heart and soul into this. Not saying the other projects they haven't, but like Sam Witwer really, really, really wanted to nail this, and you got that on those first two episodes. I was
Oh yeah.
fully immersed the entire time.
No, it's fantastic. I'm very excited. And
Yeah,
you're talking about the two other Sabrex that were with with Maul. Is I read an article that Sam said that he surrounded himself with his own type because he misses Savage Opress.
yeah,
He misses his brother.
I love that.
Yeah.
I I like absolutely love that. And how do you feel about the theory? And this has been a theory that's been going on for a while, but Vanessa Marshall, she voices a Mandalorian in the show in the Clone Wars, and we first saw her in the comics. And it's rumored that her character Rook is the armorer. Do you want her to be the armorer, or do you want her character to just keep being her own thing? I think that she's just her own character. I think she's not the armorer, but I think we could see like an Easter egg of the armorer in the show at some point.
So I've heard that for a very long time. That's an old
Mm-hmm.
tale. Not everything has to link up.
Yeah,
Like it's like I'm just gonna say out there, like I was not a fan of Rey being a Skywalker. I was actually okay with her being a nobody.
yeah, and
Honestly,
that's what she was in the original script for Duel of Fates. She was a nobody.
I
Yeah.
love. But by the way, that script is phenomenal. If you ever get your hands on a copy of it,
Oh, I have read it back to back.
oh,
Yeah.
it's good. I tell you, everybody else, like, and even the screenshots that people have done for it, it's been absolutely amazing. But you don't have to be a Skywalker. You don't have to be a Kenobi. You don't have to be a Palpatine. Who cares? There's other. She could have been Ray Smith, and I would have been okay with it. So not everybody has to be a descendant or X, Y, and Z from their party. Would I love more stories about the armorer? Absolutely. Whether it's Emily doing the voice or not, it doesn't matter. But it doesn't have to be Rook. To me, storytelling it's like that. That's an easy way out. That's like, oh, we can pinpoint that. It's like looking at that old man in the Battle of Endor with the white beard and saying, oh, that's Rex. It doesn't have to be Rex.
Yeah. I remember that debate as well. There's been really interesting, like, different theories over the years. We do know that Rex was at the Battle of Endor, but it of that has been a debate of whether it's him or not.
Just because it's there doesn't mean it has to be that.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I mean, my biggest issue, and we're going to talk about this a lot about is the centralized themes in Star Wars that good versus evil, friendship and hope and love and compassion is out there in the galaxy. But there's some point where you need to turn it a little bit and not give the same formula because you don't want to. You want each piece of property to stand on itself. You don't want it to be the same thing recreated for a new environment. It's not necessary.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like what I mean. I talk about this all the time. I love The Last Jedi. And what I love about The Last Jedi is that that's exactly what it did. Everything that we thought was going to happen did not happen. I'm like, and that's why I'm going to respect that movie.
Mm-hmm.
So it's give or take, but the fact is that not everything has to be exactly. You don't need to have a reason for everything.
Yeah. Yep. I agree with that. Sometimes it's just good to have shows like this where I mean, and actually I think Andor is a perfect example. And I think, there is a direct connection to Rogue One, 100%. Like
Yeah.
we all knew that was going to happen. But what was great is like, we didn't have characters like Cad Bane or of those mainstream characters popping up in that show, and I think that really helped that show a lot, just because it was Star Wars, but it was also its own thing. And I think if you have shows like that every once in a while, I think that's great. I love The Mandalorian specifically because in the beginning it did feel like its own thing, but then later it straight into the lane of here's Luke Skywalker. We're gonna mention Yoda, and that's fine. That's 100% fine. I'm fine with that. But not every show needs to be that, and that was the great thing about Andor. And with Maul so far, right now, the only connection that we have to all these other shows is that this has happened after Order 66. We have a character specifically that we've seen in the prequels and the Clone Wars, and that's it. I'm not getting any other, vibes as of right now where we'll have a bunch of legacy characters popping up. And again, I'm not against that, but yeah.
But they can allude to it, like they allude to it in Andor, like they
Yeah.
allude to Palpatine.
Yeah.
They don't need to actually see Ian McDermott in the show. Like it's not necessary because the storyline of itself lends it to. And I always talk about this, and my favorite scene of the prequel generation is Dex's diner in Attack of the Clones. And the reason for that is that it showed an area of Star Wars that was familiar. It was a diner. Nothing so special about that scene except for the Camino, dart. But the fact is that it's not just the Jedi Temple. It's not just Tatooine. It's not just Coruscant. It's, an eatery that people are going for food. And to me, I'm like, that was the most real thing that I saw in Star Wars. And I like that because it put a level of not just familiarity, but we're not suspending disbelief so much as fantasy, but it also felt like we were watching real life, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of like why I like Star Wars. And I thought with Andor, same exact thing. I mean, I loved season one. Like to me, the drawn out long story format was like everything as someone who's a trained theater person was like, ooh, this is meaty. I love this.
Yeah.
And then season two was just like boom, 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 boom. And I'm just like, my mind was blown every moment of it. It was peak Star Wars. I hope we get snippets of that with everything else.
Yeah, I think my favorite arc out of Andor was Narkina 5. Narkina 5 just hit every mark for me. And when you thought that, Andy Serkis was great, he just went beyond that scale of greatness. Like he absolutely crushed that role as Kino Loy. And yeah. I mean, I will be honest. At first, Andor I didn't really know how to feel about it because when I first started watching, I was like, this is different. And it's not that I had I wasn't against it because it was different. It was more of like, this feels like Star Wars, but not. But then I remember we hit the 4th episode, and then I was like, okay, all right, okay. And I remember even getting to the end of the 3rd episode, and I was like, okay, this is a new chapter of Star Wars. I'm locked in. I'm ready. And having a new take on Star Wars, I definitely think it was the right move, especially with that 2nd season. I saw people who have never watched Star Wars before that got into Star Wars because of Andor. So it's yeah, it was definitely dark and gritty, and I think it did great because it was something that no one was really expecting. And Tony Gilroy and the writing team over there, and just the entire team of Andor in general, just did a great job of adding to the Star Wars legacy.
And they
So
weren't trying. They weren't trying to write a good Star Wars story. They were
yeah.
trying to write a good story,
Mhm.
period. They just happened to be in a galaxy far, far away.
Exactly. So I think with that, I think they're approaching Maul with this, but they're also, you know, you have Sam Witwer, who is the ultimate Star Wars kind of walking holocron. Like
Yeah,
he's even been called a holocron. He's even corrected Dave Filoni and some of the people on the team over there a couple of times for when he was doing stuff with Clone Wars. So Sam Witwer knows his stuff going, and when you're doing projects like this and the people behind it are like super you know knowledgeable about the stuff that they're doing and they're huge fans about it, you see that in the work. And that was the same with Andor, and that was the same with this. So I'm
yeah.
really, really excited to see where Maul Shadow Lord goes.
No, it's gonna be awesome. I'm really excited about. Like I said, I'm
Mhm.
excited about anything Star Wars because
Yeah.
like I said, I was part of that generation that had nothing. So
I I can't say that I was part of that, but I was in the gap generation of where we had the prequels, we had an end, and then we had the Clone Wars TV show, and then we didn't have really, we didn't have any movies until 2015.
yeah,
Besides the Clone Wars movie, which I saw that as a kid, I
sure,
was beyond excited for that. But now I look at it now where when my son is, you know, if he takes that path of being like, I want to be a Star Wars fan, which that will be a whole thing, by the way. But when he eventually does take or does not take that path, you have to think of the entire list of what Star Wars is now. Like if you want to fully experience like everything Star Wars, that list is absolutely insane.
you're right.
So yeah, I cannot wait to do that with him, and it's just funny to think about. As a kid, I would have to wait every week, like on Friday, for new episodes of the Clone Wars to come out, and now you can just watch all of them on Disney Plus if you wanted
It's
to.
great. It's
Yeah.
great. And when Disney Plus came out and they had the low price point, and I was like, wait, we're getting all this for like $10? Like,
Yeah.
what's the catch?
I also love
Like,
how they added the Ewok movies too.
funny story about that. So we were doing the watch alongs during COVID, and we decided, we watched all the movies on Disney Plus. We're gonna watch the Ewok movies. So 2 weeks before, I said to everybody, get a copy of the Ewok movies. We're watching the Ewok movies. We're gonna bring Eric Walker and Kevin Thompson in to do a watch along with us. And the week we watched the first one, it came on Disney Plus.
Mhm.
We're like, now we have copies of it. Like, okay, well, I guess let's go in the collection. But no, it's awesome, and it's great to have a representation of like them between Kevin and Eric and Nikki Botello all on the con circuit talking about it.
Yeah. I talked to Eric Walker for the first time at Rebel ScumCon. That was really cool.
Yeah,
And in the interview, he like even said, "Bring that character back. I would love to play that character again in live action." And I was like, "I think everyone would love to see you like come back in some way. I think that would be super cool." But yeah, so if you want to, enjoy vintage Star Wars, like of the Droid show, of the classic Ewok shows, and then the Clone Wars micro series and everything. That's all on Disney Plus, and
yeah,
that's super cool that that's all in one place. And then just all of Star Wars pretty much is in one place, except the actual holiday special. For some reason, you can find the full length of it on YouTube.
yeah,
I somehow acquired the a 4K version of the holiday special.
amazing.
Yeah,
But it's,
so
it's fun. It's fun in itself. It's
yeah.
it's schlocky. It was for its time. But I actually recommend to everybody get a copy of Disturbance in the Force, which was Kyle Newman's documentary about the holiday special. Kyle's going to be at Rebel ScumCon, so I'm sure he's going to be talking quite a bit about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Man. I just want more. I want more goofy Star Wars in a way,
Mhm.
if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
um do you remember the show that was like fully made but then never aired, and the only thing we got was that like actual teaser footage that was over at Star Wars Celebration? I forget which one it was, but it was called Star Wars Detours, and it had
Yes,
like
that was the Seth Green project.
yes, and that never made it to air, and I was just like, if you watch the different behind the scenes stuff, you were just like, okay, this is very,
It was
this
the
is very,
precursor to Robot Chicken. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
if you look at it, they didn't do Detours, so they went to Robot Chicken. So
yeah,
I'm just very excited because they had that whole underground uh, project that they were going to do about the lower levels of Coruscant,
yes,
and
Star
now
Wars
they're bringing that into
Underworld,
Maul.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and that's something that made me excited about the show is that Dave Filoni actually made a statement saying that one thing that really leaned, him towards of doing um Maul Shadow Lord was that George Lucas had all these plans for Maul
Yep.
in his version of the sequels and stuff like that, but they never got to tell that story. And now they are going to be throwing different things in the canon now that George Lucas wanted to do with that character, and the show is just the beginning steps of that process. I don't think we'll get exactly what George imagined for Maul, just because of what happened in Star Wars Rebels. But there
Right.
was also a quote in there from one of the writers. I actually got it right here. I will pull it up super quick. Where someone asked, um, someone asked, um, Maul Shadow Lord, executive producer, on whether Maul could have survived his death in Star Wars Rebels. They responded with, "You never know. We're just focusing on this one time period right now." I don't know if Maul survived. I would really want to go forward with his story if they were just going to do it to do it. But of what George Lucas had planned for Maul in the sequels in his original trilogy was that Maul was going to be like the main villain.
Hmm.
So the fact that we're seeing more of Maul in the show is great. I think that there will be hints of here and there of what George Lucas was planning on to do. But I love
Right.
that George Lucas's handprint is still heavily involved with Star Wars, with everything, but with this in particular. I love that Dave Filoni was like, I want to, do what George, Lucas was planning on to in a different way. So I love that
Sure.
they're still paying homage to that.
No, it's great, and that's the best part about Dave at the helm is that he's gonna. I mean, Mark Hamill had a quote from last week. He's like, "I believe in Dave because he was trained by George, so he has the
Mhm.
sensibility of George Lucas." So there you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Yeah. So super, super exciting stuff ahead. And then, besides celebrating the 50th anniversary next year, we're getting Star Wars Starfighter, which is super exciting. Ryan Gosling just did Project Hail Mary, and if that movie is not an indication of what Ryan Gosling's acting skills in space can be, then I don't know what can, because that movie was phenomenal, and I can't wait to see what he does in Starfighter. I think that's going to be absolutely incredible.
I've heard nothing but good things from people who are insiders to
Yeah,
about Starfighter, and say that they have a lot of things riding on that movie.
yeah,
So I'm very excited to see that. I mean, um, I'm a big fan of Sean Levy anyway. I love the stuff with Stranger Things, and I loved obviously Deadpool Wolverine. Um, so it's just exciting to see this project. I'm excited for Star Wars. Like I said, it doesn't matter what it is. I'm gonna go to the theaters and see it opening night.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's yeah. I can't believe all that's happening next year. Just I just feel like next year is just going to be absolutely insane, and I feel like it's going to be so much fun, beyond
Yeah,
fun. I just think it's not going to be any point for a Star Wars fan where they're going to be able to sit down and take a breather. I think it's going to be Star Wars all year round, and I love that. Um,
honestly, and this might be a good segue to the thing, is that we're in the middle of a mall right now. Around the corner, it ends on May the 4th. And then 3 weeks later, you have the movie. So figure this. If you look at the timing, tickets for the movie will probably go on sale in the next week or two.
yeah,
Our thought process is that the tickets for Celebration will probably go on sale between the 4th and the release of the movie. So they're gonna get us for a while now.
yeah.
And it's gonna be fast and furious getting towards Celebration. And
Mm-hmm.
we got Rebel ScumCon right now. So I'm not gonna discount that, whether that's you know canon or not. To us it's canon. Um, is that there's gonna be so much Star Wars in the next 2 years alone. It's gonna be fantastic.
Yeah, and I don't think we ever talked about this, but are you a gamer at all, or not really?
I am not a gamer. I every time there's a new game I want to watch, and I say to my wife, I'm gonna go buy a system. She's like, "You're gonna play the game for 30 minutes, and then a system's gonna sit there. You're not
Okay,
gonna play it, and it ends up as a Blu-ray player for us." And
okay,
she's right. So unfortunately, I'm not,
okay.
but I appreciate those who do.
So for the gaming world, starting on May 1st, officially, people will be able to play these giant Star Wars maps that people have made in Fortnite. Now, I'm not talking about like a normal scale map. I'm talking about like almost an open world scale map. Like people are pretty much recreating like the Star Wars Battlefront vibes. People are recreating like a open RPG game like inside Fortnite, which is honestly insane. None of you used to play Fortnite until they started doing all of these different Star Wars updates, and I was like,
Right.
oh, okay, you know. And I remember last year at Celebration of watching the live feed. I saw the Star Wars update, and I was like, I'm gonna have to check that out. And it was great. My friends that also never played Fortnite got into it as well, so that's super exciting. But there's also Star Wars Galactic Racer. I'm a big pod racing fan. So the fact that they are, diving back into their prequel roots in a way where they have Sebulba coming back, Ben Quaterneros, and all that stuff is
The
so cool.
legend.
Yes, absolutely. So I am very excited for the gaming circuit, and whenever we get Jedi of the third Jedi game from Fallen Order and Survivor, I think that's going to be a big hit, and we've been getting simple hints of those games in the different shows, even having a live action BD unit that we saw in the Book
Right.
of Boba Fett. That was awesome. That was so cool. I remember when that happened, everyone freaked out, like of just even seeing that droid on screen, like of that type of droid was awesome.
When we were in
So
Japan and we saw the BD droids walking through Star Tours, that
yeah,
was like pretty awesome. And then these just came out at that time.
yeah, yeah. So I am so excited to dive deeper into those games when they come out. But of just going back to what Spencer and talking about, there's so much to look forward to in of these next couple of weeks, of next month, of next year. Star Wars isn't going anywhere. There is so much to look forward to. So yeah, it's super exciting. And speaking of excitement, I don't know how excited you are, but Spencer, about this, but I am. Trumu just dropped this, and it sounds like they are going to be doing blue milk again for this year. I Yeah, how do
It
you feel
was
about
good.
that?
It was good. Not gonna lie.
Yeah,
And they're doing another thing with Oreos.
yep,
So
no, yeah, oh
I
man.
just lost a bunch of weight. But
Ah, yeah, oh man, I love this time of year. I love May because to me it's always been the Star Wars season.
mhm.
Even though so 2020 was a very tough year for everyone. But I remember May 4th, and we got that final episode of Clone Wars, and then we got all those different Star Wars announcements and stuff like that. And you know, even during a dark period of that, and for me, I just got hired by Disney at the time, and then the pandemic happened, and I was kind of in limbo of what I was doing with my career. And something about Star Wars is that it can um, it can immerse you and kind of help with the troubles that people have. And sometimes people use Star Wars to escape in a way. And I for me growing up, Star Wars was always my comfort film for like everything. So I am uh I just remember looking back at that day. It was during a dark time, but Star Wars helped me get out of that funk because of everything happening, on that announcement day, and everything and just being with the people I love. And I remember like we watched all the Clone Wars again that day of season 7, because that was a huge moment for Star Wars fans. So I just treat every single May 4th like Christmas. Like I just treat that as like a huge holiday.
Star Wars saved lives.
Yeah.
And I can say that even for myself. I mean, this community of Star Wars gave me the community and the belonging of where I wish I always had been in my entire life. And if you look at me personally from 2017, my first celebration, to now, I'm not the same person, and it's because of Star Wars.
Yeah. You never know who you were going to meet, at these events, like, at Star Wars Celebration, at Boonty Eve, at Rebel Scum Con. Like you never know. And I've been saying this for years. Like if I never went to Star Wars Celebration, and I know this is like a crazy chain of events, but no joke, I don't think I would be married today, because I met my friend David, and then he pointed me towards someone to like help me learn about the 501st. I joined the 501st, and then I was doing this charity stuff, and then I met my wife through that. And basically I wanted to have met my wife if I never went to Celebration, if I was never a Star Wars fan. And Star Wars brings people together. It's absolutely insane. Like right now, you and I would not be here talking about Star Wars if we never became fans. If we never went to Boonty Eve and Rebel Scum Con and stuff like that. So it's really crazy to think about, of what this franchise has done for people.
Yeah, no, it's great, and I look forward to anything. Like I said, anything and everything, because it just makes our community that much more rich.
Yes, 100%. And speaking of celebrating Star Wars, for the past 100 days, because today marks 100 days since I've been doing it. I've been doing 143 facts for 143 days of the Mandoverse. So everything involved with the Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, and Skeleton Crew. And today marks the 100th fact. I'll be posting it after this. And it's something that I love about Star Wars is the lore behind it, like of behind the scenes, but also the in-universe stuff as well, of what the people behind Lucasfilm have come up with and certain things. And even doing these facts, like I knew a decent amount of these facts going in, but there were some where I really had to, do a lot of research and be like, oh, wow, I didn't know that. I need to dive deeper into this. So it's been so cool to experience Star Wars in that level. And I'm definitely planning on doing more of this, because it's been a blast. It's been
honestly, your deep dive's been fantastic, and I'm the one who actually does the shares on the Instagram for that, because they come up when I'm still awake. And it's been just enjoyable, because you never know something more that you can learn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and I'm just thinking about all the new facts and lore that we'll be getting out of the Mandalorian and Grogu and everything. I'm going to have to prep for that. So I'm just like, oh, okay. But like super excited at the same time. I think that it's going to be absolute blast. And I can't believe that film is coming out in almost less than a month. I think it's crazy to think.
Can't wait. I just want them to release the tickets so I can start putting groups together to go see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How many times do you think you'll see it? Like
Open
in the
weekend?
actual theater? Yeah.
I would say at least open weekend I'll see it about 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
Uh, over the course,
Yeah.
I I don't know. It really depends upon how much I really want to go see it again. I can say at least 2 or 3 times open weekend is, guaranteed. So
Yeah. I remember I saw when Force Awakens came out because, that was such a big deal because that was like, boom, Star Wars is back. At the time, I was working at a movie theater. So I went and saw that at least 6 or 7 times. And I remember each time I got more excited. And something as well is it was a small movie theater, right? So at the point, spoiler alert if you haven't watched Force Awakens, but of the part of where of where Han gets killed,
Mhm.
our like kind of lobby area, it was right next to the doors, so we could hear all of the reactions. So like every single day I was hearing the no like of those reactions coming out
I love that.
of the theater. Yeah, so yeah, no, I can't wait to make more memories with these movies and all the upcoming projects. It's just gonna be absolute blast. But, yeah.
Very
Um
exciting times.
very, very exciting times. That is it for today. Um is there anything else that we wanted to talk about?
No, I just want to plug again. The Boonta Eve Texas 2 news desk is Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. We're going to release the entire lineup of Boonta Eve Texas 2, and tickets will go on sale. There's only going to be 100 VIP tickets sold for this event.
Yeah.
We had less for last year, and we tripled the amount of VIP because there was a need for it.
Mm-hmm.
So, same shenanigans as last year. We're just turning this way up to 11 because there's no party out there like the Virtual Cantina Networks parties.
And it doesn't stop. It
Nope,
just keeps going.
it really is. Like I said, I'm already working on 3 shows down the line next year. So,
I'm beyond excited. I can't wait to see what happens. And and if you need someone there to specifically talk about Max Rebo, I'm your guy.
oh yeah,
But
you're the resident Maxaholic.
yep. I don't think I've heard that one before, but I like it. I like it. Cool. Well, Spencer, thank you so much for coming on. Stay tuned for Monday. We will be going forward until May 4th. We will be having a special guest every week, leading up to the finale of the show. So we're super pumped about that. Stay tuned for more details. We're also doing a giveaway. We just did our first one, which was a Black Series action figure of the character Devin from Maul Shadow Lord. The next one is Maul himself. So we'll be making that post on Sunday. If you haven't looked at the details, go to our Instagram, VCN Transmissions and Virtual Cantina Network to go check that out. And we have 2 mystery prizes, which will be the last 2 weeks. So stay tuned for that. We'll be announcing those very soon. But yeah. Thank you so much for listening. Spencer, thank you again so much for coming on.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Colin.
Yep. May the force be with you forever and always.